Hey guys, Crystal Lynn here. Hey, you only got one eye. What happened to your eye? Well, most people would assume firework accident, and they're right, but it runs a little bit deeper than that. But first, let me drop a little funny story here about that. When I was in the hospital, kinda waking up, uh, my little sister's like, "Oh, Christy, I gotta tell you something." I was like, "I'm blind. I'm freaking blind." She's like, "What?" I said, I'm freaking blind. She's like, "Christine, pull yourself together. You're looking at me. Aren't you looking at me right now?" So I guess with the pain medicine and, no vision this eye, half blind, I just said I was blind. But, and, having one eye is very worrisome. I spent a lot of time in prayer about this. Ask the Lord to protect my vision, and I know that He will. But when you have two, you don't ever really think about, because you got two, you don't ever think about it. When you have one, it changes everything because you're already down 50%. And you're like, oh, if something happens, then I will be blind, and I'm not down for that. So, what? I was always very protective over my arm, always wearing glasses, or I finally mellowed out a little bit. But used to, I wouldn't even put drops in my eye. When you go to the eye doctor, they dilate your eyes or they check the pressure in them. I wouldn't let them do any of that. I was like, I know y'all do this 200 times a day, but I'd be that one person that went blind. Some freak happened. It happens, it happens. And I used to see a vision specialist in Louisville, Kentucky. And she said, Christy, I understand why you don't want them to dilate your eye or anything like that, but they can detect problems earlier and, probably save your vision. So, finally, probably about 3 or 4 years ago, I started letting them dilate my eye and check the pressure in it. I also have dry eye, and it doesn't do it as bad, but it used to water really bad. And she said it's because I have dry eye, and putting drops in it did help, but it took me forever to put a drop in my eye. So trust me, when you got one eye, you'll think about things like that a lot. Which a lot of those drops are for tears, and they're not very good for your eyes anyway. But so when I was in the hospital, I was kind of in and out of it. I do remember at first they saved the power knocked my eye out of socket and blew it out. They saved the shell. Okay, I had no vision, but I had the shell. They saved it. Everything else. But I do remember when I was coming in and out of it, Dr. Fu come and said, another doctor come talk to me. He said they wanted to remove my bad eye because there was a chance it could affect my good eye. And so I wanted to wait till my father got there to have somebody oversee my decision or whatever. It's a major decision, but when he got there, it was no question. I'm not going to lose my vision to save the looks of it. I don't care. Jesus, I wasn't going to be able to see out of it anyway. Take that thing out. Save my vision. Alright, so they took it out, but, they did save, I forgot what it's called, that way when I got a glass eye, that it would move with this one, when this one moved. And I forgot what they called that. And so, at this point, I still had everything. Eyelid, eyebrow, eyelashes, tear ducts, eye socket, had everything. I just removed that shell. Well, then go on, and I caught an infection. It started out like a little spot, little dot on the side of my nose, a little hole. And, my family friends were questioning the doctors, brought to the doctor's attention, and one of my really good friends, her mother was a nurse, and she called her and she's like, Mom, I don't know what to do. This is going on. Really freaked out. Her mom was like, you get that doctor, and you get that doctor now. And so in like 12 hours, it had doubled in size. And I don't know how many hours later, my whole eye socket was solid yellow with infection. The whole thing just looked like an eye patch, just yellow infection. It was ungodly. I have a picture of it. I had never in my life. And to get rid of the infection, this is how deep they had to cut to get rid of the infection. I lost half of the whole left side of my face because of infection. They had to cut everything. I could shove a pillow in my face. It was just a crater, a big crater. I have a picture of it, but it's very, I don't want to put it on here. Because I didn't know that it happened till probably a year and a half after I come home, a year after I come home. And somehow, when I was getting ready that morning in the room, someone I was looking at my phone, and I don't know how I found the picture, where it come from. I have no idea. But I saw the picture of that big, half my face missing. And I've never had a panic attack. Don't even know what one is, but if I had to guess, I would say that I'm pretty sure I had one that day. And I'm pretty sure I could have one right now, thinking about it. For a whole hour, I couldn't catch my breath. I cried uncontrollably. No one ever wants to see that. So when I tell you Jesus saved me, Jesus saved me. That's the only person that can bring somebody through that. They had to cut so deep. And it goes your eye, which I have none, your skull, which I lost the front part of my skull, and then your brain. So my little sister said it was awful. She said you could stand at the foot of your bed and just see your brain, because I had no eye and no skull. And that's how deep they had to cut. And so after that infection, I lost everything. Eyebrow, eyelid, eyelashes, whatever they kept in my eye, tear duct, everything. Eye socket had to be rebuilt. Everything. Man. Sorry. Didn't think about that. So, uh, that's part of the reason why I was in the hospital 327 days. It was just bam, bam, bam. Everything kept happening back to back. Alright, so, I got a surgeon that was wonderful. I was their screensaver on his phone for like almost a year, probably a little over a year, probably, because I was his baby. I mean, it may not look like it, but there's like $7 million in my face. I mean, I had to build eye socket and everything, and look, see, I have this. I mean, it's good eye socket. I mean, it's but. And all this is new skin that grew. It's medicine, and it's amazing. Your skin is amazing. The things your body will do can recover from. So this is all new skin. So see, the scar here is where they had to connect it. So all this, some skin from my leg, but I'm pretty certain all this on my forehead is a cadaver skin. And a funny story about that is there's only certain places that you can take skin from for skin grafts. Your chest, your buttocks, the calves, thighs. I'm sure there's a few others I'm missing, but anyway, only certain spots. And so I can joke about this now. This cadaver skin on my forehead. I said I could see you, my friends, and I riding down the road, and be like, something smells like ass. And you'd be like, yeah, that's me. I might have somebody's ass skin on my forehead. Who knows? But how gross is that? I mean, what if somebody's butt sweat running down your face? That's wild. But and skin grafts, they took one from the left top thigh, two from the top right thigh, and one from the bottom right thigh. And holy crap, that is like the worst pain. Never again will I let them take skin unless it is a matter of life or death. Oh God, I'll save that and talk about that and about skin grafts another time. But now I'm done. Lost my train of thought what I was talking about. So skin grafts on my face, build my face back. I mean, it was just horrible. Like morning and evening, I had to come in and do an ultrasound of my face to make sure I had adequate blood supply. They tried replacing my skull 4 times. Luckily, on the 4th time, it took. They contacted colleagues in Las Vegas because they hadn't, they didn't know what else to do. My sister and I, we did a Skype call with John Hopkins, surgeons at John Hopkins, and infectious disease, because this was the last time that they could try this. And I had teams of doctors and infectious disease teams, and what the guy John Hopkins said, they wouldn't be doing anything any different. But I don't care if I had to fly to California at the time to make sure it got right. We would have, and my family would have been right by me. And it's because of him that I'm at where I'm at right now. For them pushing, for them saying, with me in the hospital, because if I was alone, at some time what kind of treatment I would have got, or I wouldn't be where I am today. I know that. So I'm very grateful. But I'm trying to think now where I've got off to. You know what? I have a prosthesis, and I don't wear it because it's dumb. It's very fake looking, but it's it's a piece. I'll show it to you one day. It's a piece, and it goes it fits all around here, right? And it has to work with there's a certain glue I've got in there that it glues them, and you take it on and off probably 5 times for it still stick. But I don't wear it because it's so fake looking, and the eye pops out of it, and if you don't get the eye back in there right, you got one eye looking over here, one here, and then if you don't get it lined up right, maybe down here and you're up here, it's just too much. And then $7.5 million in my face. They could have took this nerve out. Excuse me, but they left this nerve. So every now and then I get I could just it's like a itch you can't get to. And so I asked the doc. I said, "Well, what if I got this prosthesis on and get to itching like that? How am I?" He said, "You just have to figure that." Now I've activated it. You just have to figure that out. So yeah, I figured it out. It's not wearing the prosthesis. He said, oh, cool. And my surgeon in the prosthesis surgeon said, "Oh, cool, we can do magnetic implants." I said, "Well, that'd be cool. I can just slap it on and off and magnetic." And he said, if it's magnetic, it could be just a small piece. It wouldn't have to be, my whole half the size of my face. But yeah, I looked it up, and that's not for me, because if you're wearing the prosthesis and the magnetic clips, that's great. But if you're not, if you don't want to wear the prosthesis, then it looks like you have 3 pieces of body jewelry, 3 studs in your eye socket. So magnetic implants, duh. So it's implants, and the magnet screws into the implants. So with my infection rate, and I do water therapy twice a week. I work out 3 days a week, usually 5 to 7 hours a day. I do a lot of sweating, and I'm also in that public pool at the Y. So chances, I don't want to take chances of being in that pool and that water and the sweat, and how we clean them, and if you take them out before you get in, of course, but you got it's just too much. I've had over 35 surgeries, and I'm done. I'm not trying to have any more, especially something like that. If it's not a life-threatening situation or something to save my life, if it's an elective surgery, count me out. I'm not having it. The risk for any surgery is too high, and I'm not trying to have another stroke, okay? I'm getting over this one. Bet your ass I am. I ain't got time to be having another one. I ain't got time for any of that. None of that. But that prosthesis was pretty cool. I took him some clippings of my hair, And he actually made an eyebrow on that for my hair. So, and I got fake eyelashes on it. I'll have to get it and show it to you. It's pretty neat looking, but pretty fake looking at the same time. So the color of my eyes are, I don't know what color they are today. If I am wearing blue, they're more blue. If I'm wearing green, they're more green. They're forever changing. I don't really have a specific name for the color. Anyway, so the prosthesis surgeon had a catalog this thick of eyes. He actually had to email them a picture of my eye. I was like, look, dudes, this is what I need. I can't find anything in this catalog to match this eye. And still, it's pretty close, but like I said, my eyes are always changing, so some days it'd be a slightly different color. I wish I'd brought that out here to show you. I was talking about it, but I'll try to remember to bring it next time. And he said, you know, it looks so fake. He said, well, you put blush on, you blend it in. There's no blending this in. And he's like, you wear glasses anyway. That doesn't help. This is much better. Au naturel is much better than that fake in there. You know, I used to wear an eye patch because especially I didn't want the little kids to, but really bothered me. I didn't want the little kids to see it. Then I finally graduated to wearing I would just wear my glasses, but you know, I thought it kind of hid it, but my aunt said, no, Chrissy, it just magnifies it, really. So finally, after this skin healed up, because it was scabby, it was awful. Once it's finally healed up, I don't think nothing about it. Nobody thinks anything about it, you know. But before, when I first started wearing the eye patch, it was pretty bloody, scabby, and gory looking. But now it's okay. But another funny story, when I wore a patch, you know, I used to go to church with my niece, nephew, nephews, and my little nephew Axel would ride in my lap. You know, he was probably about 3. And one day at church, he's like, turned around and said, hey, why you got that patch on your arm? I said, well, because I'm a pirate. He said, no, you only got one eye. Like, so I'm glad. I was like, oh God, I hope he don't poke his eye out because he wants to be a pirate. And then, see this, it's like a flap they had sewed on my arm to save it in case they need it, and they don't need it. But, you know, one of my nephews, I can rub that on, and he gets all squishy, whatever, he don't like it. But Axel, he'll like ride in my lap, and he'll like play with it, touch it. You know, one of my friends said I be playing all the time with it. I don't have the best feeling in this hand. I can tell hot and cold, but if you lay a nickel in my hand, I can't tell you if it's a nickel. I could probably, maybe, I might be able to tell you it's a coin, but I couldn't tell you it was a nickel versus a quarter or a penny or, you know, any of that. You lay a paper clip in my hand, I can't tell you what it is. So I don't have, you know, like when you go to a furniture store and everybody does it. You go by the furniture and you touch it. Ooh, yeah, that feels good. Oh, I gotta feel this one. Well, if we're gonna do that, and the furniture's over here, you gotta take me up here and turn around and come back and hit it with the right hand, because I can't feel anything. I mean, I could feel, you know, like I got shorts on, they're slick. I know what they feel like, just because, well, I feel them with this hand, but just because I know what they feel like. But if I had to rely on this hand, couldn't do it. So anyway, I rambled on and totally lost focus on what I was initially talking about. The eye, where we was at, and I got off on prosthesis, and used to be a little inside joke with, cause I love to talk, and I ramble on and on and on about everything. And I'd always tell my friends, cause they're like, what? Cause I jump from topic to topic. I said, I'm sorry. Having a conversation, I'm like a YouTube channel. Having a conversation with me is like watching YouTube. Where you start off on one thing, and then it's like, golly, what you're at the end of the conversation. So, just bear with me, and if you can hang out while I'm rambling on, might say something interesting, hopefully. I do have a lot to say. But anyway, that, how I lost my eye. Initially, the firework, yes. Infection, and it was a long road. But thankfully, thanks to that surgeon, and the reason why they had to call, I know now it's not that big of a deal. A flap, not that big of a deal. 10, 11 years ago in Louisville, Kentucky, I was the first ever patient. I think they might have done one. Maybe they had never done any. I was the first ever, and it was a big deal. Oh, it was a big deal. It was a nightmare. My life was like a Saw movie. But I had to go in and have emergency skull surgery. Thank God I wasn't brain surgery. Close enough. I had this hardware removed in August of this past year. And I had to wait 3 months. I had to go back to wearing a helmet again. And wait 3 months to have it replaced. And it was titanium mesh. This time they made it with 3D printer and did plastic. And they tried it once before and it didn't work for whatever reason. Like I said, it was kind of trial and error with me because I was the first patient. But this time, my family and friends and I, we were all freaked out because we never wanted to cut in my head again. I never wanted that to happen. Once it's sealed. Just like now, we hope that it is sealed forever. I pray every morning that it's sealed forever, never to be opened back up. But I was freaked out, and the surgeons and the medical teams and the pre-op and the nurses, and I was freaked out. And they like, we do it all the time. I'm like, what? Has medicine advanced that much? Well, I guess it has. They do it all the time. They have people that have brain surgery, neck surgery. I don't care what kind of surgery you have, and they ship them out, send them home the next day. Insurance says it's ridiculous and doesn't want to pay, for one. But two, medicine has advanced, but some people need to stay in the hospital. And I was freaked out. I wanted to stay at least a week to be evaluated because I know what we'd been through 10 years previous. And, but he didn't even have to shake my head. Can you imagine? They have to pull your face down to take the hardware out. He didn't even shake my head. There was one little bitty stitch line under my hair. He had to shave maybe a half inch of my hair in the front, but the bangs covered it up, and so you can't even see the stitch line. He's awesome. And the surgery went fantastic. no infection. I mean, he was worried. I mean, he's like, your case is pretty extensive. He studied my case for 6 hours before he went into surgery. I had the top neurosurgeon, infectious disease. He had a team with him. But praise Jesus, I didn't need any of that. It went very, very well. And quick, maybe 3 hours, maybe. But then in November, I had it replaced. Talk about some head pain, some major headache. I couldn't have a bright light, noise, or I just lay in a room for about a week with my head covered up, no TV on or nothing. I couldn't handle anything, but praise Jesus that all that is subsided. I couldn't even laugh. It would jar my head. I was praying so hard that I would be able to laugh, that I would be able to talk. What a miserable life that would be if he was in that much pain. So praise God, praise our Heavenly Father. Praise Him the Most High. So grateful. But anyway, like I said, I've been on here rambling on for probably over 30 minutes. And I'm sorry that I'm like a YouTube channel, bounce from topic to topic, but hopefully I can get this right now. I just have a lot to say, so thanks for tuning in, and remember to be kind, be humble. I love you guys.